You must never, ever cross this line if you're coming to work in the UK. There is zero tolerance for these career sins, and you must never, in fact, I can't stress this enough, you must avoid these things. Okay? All right. So, hi there. My name is Rajino, and I am a Nigerian sonographer who's also a sonographer here in the UK. And on my channel, I do provide tips, I provide insights, for radiographers, for sonographers, and other healthcare professionals on how to achieve and maintain a successful career in the UK. Now, there are 6 different things that I'm going to mention that you should never do. Number 6 is the one that is very important, but most people do not take it seriously, especially people from overseas. So without wasting too much of your time, let us delve right into it. Okay, number 1. Number 1 thing of what you must never ever do if you're coming to work in the UK or if you're already working in the UK is this. You must never work elsewhere while you're on sick leave. So for some people, because their agency shift or locum shift pays better than their primary job, which could be like the NHS, for instance, they tend to call in sick and then go and actually cover the shift, the agency shift. You must never ever do this. It is called defrauding the NHS, and you can hardly escape the consequences of this. And it is defrauding the NHS or your company because when you're off sick, the NHS pays you to stay at home. So if you're being paid to stay at home and then you go and work somewhere else, it means that you're going to be paid in 2 places, one of which was under deception. So that's fraudulent, and you could very likely be struck off the HCPC register. And if that happens, it stays on your record. And if it's on your record, it means that it will be a million times harder for you to get a job again in that field or in a related field. So it's not worth it. You don't want to be in that kind of situation. So do not do this ever. So number 2, do not ever call in sick at work and then go for a job interview. So many people do this thing and it is wrong. It is wrong on any level. If you must go for a job interview, then get your annual leave and go for a job interview. For some people, they cannot get a job interview. The bold thing to do would be to write to your manager directly and say, I've got another job interview and I'd like to go for it. I understand that so many people don't want their managers to know that they're going for another job interview, but if that is the card that you're dealt and there's nothing else you can do, you're better off doing that than to actually call in sick and then go for another job interview. Because if you write to your manager that you have to be in an interview, it's within your right for them to let you go for it. So you're best to actually do that as opposed to calling in sick and then going off to go and attend an interview. Because just like number 1, it is defrauding your company or the NHS, and the consequences are enormous. You don't want to find yourself in a situation like that, and it's not worth it. Okay, so don't do this. Never ever do it. Okay, so number 3. Never ever deliberately record false times or false dates on your extra shift claim forms. Now, emphasis on the word deliberate because mistakes do happen, and there are times when you could mistakenly put an information on there that is not correct. Okay, I'll use myself an example. I have made mistakes before in my claim form, and it was my manager that called my attention to it. So apparently I worked on the Saturday 8:30 to 5 p.m. and I recorded on my claim form when I was claiming that I worked on Sunday 8:30 to 5 p.m. Now, my manager called my attention to it, and it was obvious to her that it was a mistake on my part because of 2 things. The first one being that I do not have a long track record of consistently making mistakes on my claim form. Because if you've got a long track record of that, you're always making mistakes on your claim form, which could result in increased financial compensation, then it's very likely that you're doing it deliberately, and that's a problem. Okay, so I did not have that. And the second reason why she knew that it was a mistake on my part is because I did not claim for the 2 days in that weekend. I didn't claim for Saturday and Sunday, so I claimed for only Sunday. The mistake was just the day Sunday, which means that even if that claim form went through unchecked, and had gotten to payroll and they paid me, I was not going to get any additional financial compensation, for that. In other words, I was still going to be paid the same thing. So there really really is no reason for why I would put the wrong date. It's just that for good record keeping, you should actually put the right date down, so she called my attention to it and I corrected it immediately. So it's a mistake. Mistakes do happen, but it should not be the norm with you. So you have to be careful with the information that you're putting on your claim form. If you deliberately falsify any information so that you can defraud the company or the NHS, that is a big problem. You don't want to find yourself there. So that being said, even with your timing, you have to get it right. If, for instance, it was agreed, the shift you're supposed to come and handle is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on that day, you were running late, so you arrived by 9 a.m. and that's when your list started. When you are filling your claim form later at the end of the month, you should put that you actually covered from 9 a.m., not 8. You covered from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. because you were not there a whole hour before time. So you weren't there. So record it exactly as it is. That's because when the chips are down and there's an investigation into something, and they are looking into stuff, there are so many avenues for finding out that you did not start work at 8 a.m. and that you got paid for an hour that you were not at work. Do you understand? And there are cameras all over the hospital that show your entry time and your exit time. Yeah, the time that you log into your computer, is recorded. Yes, it is recorded. So that is one way to know when you actually came in or not. Sometimes it's a good indicator. And then when you attend to your first patient, the time you attended to them is recorded on their images or on their patient's records. So there are very many ways to know when you started work and when you didn't start work. And for something like 1 hour or 2 hours, how much would they pay you that you will put to risk your entire career, on the premises of recording a false thing? So don't do it. If you were not there, don't say you were there. You started by 9, put it that you started by 9. So with the kind of big issues that can come up from things like this, you're best to just stay careful and remain honest. Is the best way. Is better for you. Okay. All right. So if you've watched this far and you're getting any value from this video or from all the information that I'm sharing, then please go and subscribe. It really, really encourages me and motivates me to keep doing this. Okay. All right. Thank you and God bless you. So number 4, now never ever work elsewhere on NHS time or on your company's time. Now, what do I mean by this? I'll give you context. Now, when I was working in Nigeria, I worked in a medical center, and it was not a very fast-paced center. So we could go like 1 hour, 2 hours without any patients sometimes, right? Now, there was another medical center that was around there that was also not very fast-paced. And so they also used to have trickles of patients like that. So the agreement that we made was that whenever they have a patient, they will call me, and then I would, if I don't have any patients, I would just breeze in there quickly, scan their patient, and then they'll pay me, and that was that. Now, you see that thing that I did? That was using my company's time for another company for my financial benefits. Now, while it was okay then and it could fly, it is totally kicked against in the UK. You should never ever do it here. You are paid to be here regardless of how many patients are here or how many people you are seeing. So you stay here and you do your job. That's it. If you're caught doing this, the consequences are huge. So do not meddle in it. Do not be involved in that. Don't use your company's time or the NHS time for another company. Just focus, do your job in your place of primary assignment and go when it's time to go and do other jobs on other times. Number 5, do not work for another company when you're on maternity leave, especially if you're receiving maternity pay. So your job, your company, your hospital is giving you time off, paid time off, to be with your baby, to take care of your baby, to bond with your baby. So if you go about seeking for alternative employment during your maternity leave, it just means that you don't need the time off to actually be with your baby. So if you can work for another company, why can't you come back to work then? By getting another employment while you're on maternity leave, especially if it's a brand new employment, then you are defrauding your company, you're defrauding the NHS, you're defrauding your hospital. And there are consequences for this and you're not going to like it. So avoid it. Avoid it totally. Now, finally, number 6. Now, did you know that working for your company, your own hospital while you are sick is a very big taboo? Now, this is usually very common amongst overseas workers, and I don't really know. I don't know if it's the passion for the job or something, but somehow we feel that, oh, we have let the service down, or our managers would be very upset with us. Which service have you let down? Which manager will be upset with you? What you need to understand is that the service will carry on with or without you. Now, it's not allowed because you will be putting the lives of your patients and your colleagues at risk. So if you're not okay, you're not well in yourself, how will you be able to take care of your patients or take care of other people? Okay. And then if you've got an infectious condition, then you're very likely going to transmit that onto either your patient or your colleagues or other staff at work. And that is not ideal. It's not acceptable in any way. So you should not be working when you are ill. Okay. You also need to factor in the fact that if in your sick state, you come to work, you're working, and then you make a very grave mistake. When the chiefs sit down and they are investigating, they'll call you for questioning, right? They'll ask you, why did you make a mistake like that? Or, that resulted in this and that. And you're going to say, oh, on that day, I wasn't feeling very fine, and that is what really altered my judgment on the day. And although I wasn't feeling fine, I still felt the need to come to work because at that period, there were a lot of complaints about staff shortages. So I thought that I can just come and help the service. And that was why I came to work, By this time, you're just speaking English language, because the next question they're going to ask you is, if you weren't feeling okay, if you're feeling a bit poorly, why didn't you just let us know? We would have given you some time off. And then in your mind, you'll be like, I just wanted to help. But the fact is, if you did not mention, you did not state that you were sick or you were ill, it means that you were not ill. And if you were not ill, it means that you have to bear the consequences of your actions. Now, there are measures that are in place to make sure that people, staff, employees do not abuse, calling in sick, because there are people who just call in sick consistently. So there are measures in place so that this is not abused. What I'm saying, however, is if you're genuinely ill, you are genuinely sick, the service will run without you. Call in and let your manager know that you are not feeling fine and you cannot work. You stay at home, you heal, you get better, and then you come back to work. It is safer for you, it's safer for your patients, it's safer for your colleagues, and that's where you want to be, on the safe side. Okay. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I have put the links to very interesting and related articles on my website, such as the 5 things I wish I knew before I came to the UK. It's a very interesting read and I'm sure you want to check it out. So I'm going to put the link in the description box below. Okay. Also, please subscribe to my channel if you've not already subscribed. It really, really, really encourages me. It really motivates me to keep doing this. Please like, comment, share this video to as many people as need it. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you and bye.